You notice that, I don't know, you guys, every different region has its own natural disasters, right? So in California, they have earthquakes. I used to live in the Midwest, they have tornadoes. You guys here have monsoons, right? And so usually when you have a natural disaster, you also have something which warns the people if it's coming, right? It's a siren of some sort. Every region has its own version of it. But if I were to tell you that at this time every month, so in the Midwest where I lived, it used to be the first Wednesday of the month, there would be a test siren. So it would be, they were testing the siren. Now when I hear that siren, I'm gonna know that it's just a test, right? Now if I'm in a school and we're doing a fire drill, did you guys ever do, you do this, right? Obviously. A fire drill when you're in school, you are told that this is a drill, but you still have to act because you're being watched. We are told that this life is a drill. This life is a test. It's being given to us for a very specific purpose, and that is to see how we act. In the same way that if you had a fire drill, your teacher wants to see how are you going to act if it were the, you know, how would you act in the case of a fire? So you know that it's not really real, it's really just a creation to see how you'll act. It's just a creation to see how you'll act. And this whole life is just a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see how you'll act. Lastly, this life is a means, not an end. It's a tool. It's not the destination itself. So we use this life, but we don't fall in love with this life. And it's just like I hand you a toolbox and I tell you, take these tools and build a house. There are some people who will take that toolbox and instead of using it to build a house, fall in love with the hammer and get so distracted because they're just in love with this hammer. Imagine how silly that is, right? You opened up the toolbox and you're like, wow, that is a shiny nail. And you just become so distracted by the shininess of the nail and the fact that you're very attached now to this hammer and you completely forget what you had it for. You completely forget the purpose of these tools. And even more so, some people will take that hammer and hammer their own hand with it or break something with it. Instead of building this home with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are breaking it. And we are becoming so distracted with the tool that we're forgetting the purpose of the tool. Ali radiallahu anh has this very beautiful statement where he says that zuhud, being detached from this life, is not that you do not own anything, but that nothing owns you. So it isn't that we don't own money, it isn't that we don't have families, it isn't that we don't get married, it's that those things don't own us. We can have money, but our money should not own us. We own the money. We should be in control of the boat in the dunya. It should not be that the ocean now controls our boat. There were 3 people who came to the Prophet ﷺ's house. And this is just to emphasize the point that detachment, zuhud, not drowning in this dunya does not mean that you are not involved in the dunya, that you go off to the mountains and you become a monk and you never get married or anything like that, and you just pray all day. That's not what it's talking about. But rather,